quick before Ron called me. All right. Good morning. This is Rashad Mitchell. Comes to you live from my YouTube channel. As I continue on my part series, the week that was college football history and review, the 1966 college football season, where it was the year of the game of the century, marketing of Gatorade, and bad timing for the undefeated Tide. Major college teams played more than 500 games in 1966, but only one really mattered, and that was the November 19th game between number one Notre Dame and number two Michigan State at East Lansing, which captured national interest for weeks, yet somehow lived up to its incredible hype to become a fitful game of the century. The contest was amazingly hard-hitting, with many forced turnovers. Its controversial ending created a storm of second-guessing that dogged Fighting Irish leader Ara Parseghian the rest of his career as a coach and television commentator. The undefeated Titans finished in a 10-10 tie, with Notre Dame safely running out the clock in its own territory at the end. The possibility of a tie had never been remotely considered, so as the game ended, a lot of football fans felt terribly cheated. At a time long before satellite video clips allowed every TV sports director in the country to show pregame interviews and highlights, this game still took on a sense of unparalleled national anticipation. Notre Dame captain Jim Lynch, who in 1970 would play in the Super Bowl, flatly said years later that the Super Bowl was not as big as the Michigan State Notre Dame game. Coincidentally, the end of the 1966 football season marked the first ever NFL-AFL pro title matchup that would eventually be called the Super Bowl, a term that was coined by Kansas City Chiefs owner Lamar Hunt. The NFL-AFL championship was staged between the Green Bay Packers and the AFL Chiefs in a two-thirds full Los Angeles Coliseum, so considerably less interest than the game of the century college showdown in East Lansing. When the big Notre Dame Michigan State encounter ended without resolution, Parseghian was crucified for ordering substitute quarterback Coley O'Brien, a diabetic whom Parseghian felt was tiring badly, to run, not pass the ball from the Irish 30-yard line. Dan Jenkins wrote in Sports Illustrated that Notre Dame tied one for the Gipper. As it happened, the coach sought not to blow what his injury-frayed team had attained, a road game combat from a 10-0 deficit in one of the most bruising games ever. He based his decision on the knowledge that Notre Dame came in as number one, still had a chance to win another game the following week, which it did very resoundingly against Southern California. For his part, Coach Duffy Daugherty chose to have the Spartans punt on their last possession on fourth down from his team's 36-yard line with 2 minutes to play. Michigan State had an amazing defense, but it hardly was an aggressive coaching move to win the game, especially for the second-rate team that was playing at home against an injury-depleted foe. Still, the mood on Monday was very much in favor, however briefly and insufficiently, of the Spartans. Participation in poll voting was somewhat inflexible in 1966. The AP poll on Monday, following the big game, not surprisingly attracted 73 ballots instead of previous week's 43. Notre Dame, which walked away briefly from East Lansing with a black eye, added only 2 first-place votes to 37. Michigan State zoomed from 6 to 27 first-place votes and closed a 28-point gap to 3 points. Alabama, now the leader among 3 remaining unblemished teams, stayed fairly stagnant, picking up 7 first-place votes to a total of 8, but closing only from 93 points behind the Fighting Irish to 89 points. Interestingly, neither Notre Dame nor Michigan State was in a position to build its net reputation in the New Year's Bowl game. Big Ten champion Michigan State was barred from the Rose Bowl because of the conference's arcane no-repeat rule, and Notre Dame still shunned bowl games as school policy. In the end, Notre Dame's immense national reputation as 51-0 win over USC a week later won it the AP and UPI titles, considerably dismayed Michigan State, except as a consolation, the MacArthur Bowl, emblematic of the Football Writers Association's championship. The immense criticism that engulfed Parseghian's somewhat sensible decision had greater impact on the coaching fraternity, and it forced many coaches in subsequent years later into radical in-game decisions. For example, the 2-point pass that was called by Nebraska coach Tom Osborne in the 1984 Orange Bowl, even though a tying kick near the end of the game surely would have clinched the national title, the pass against champions to beat Miami was tipped and fell incomplete, and Notre Dame lost 31-30. To this day, it is hard to make a 1983 national championship case for Miami or any other team if Coach Osborne had felt comfortable accepting a 31-31 tie. But the ghostly shadow of Parseghian's 1966 tie decision surely affected Osborne's choice of most 20 years later. By the mid-1990s, Such decisions had evaporated because overtime made it a no-brainer to kick a point and embrace the chance for overtime victory. In recent times, a coach actually could get himself fired for not ordering a tying kick and taking his chances in overtime. Some teams other than Notre Dame and Michigan State prospered in 1966. I'll do another part later on, maybe, on the 1966 college football season. Talk to you soon.